viewers to the Founder Talk show. I am Aishwarya Nair. Urban India generates millions of tons of e-waste every year that ends up in a landfill. In India, most e-waste is manually segregated and processed, leading to environmental damage and risk to human lives. Addressing this problem, which needs local solutions, joining me today is Gurudutt Bangarpet, Director of Rashi E-Waste Solutions. He is striving towards creating a sustainable future for the generations to come. Welcome to the show, Mr. Gurudutt.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
So, tell me, what does Rashi E-Waste do, and what was the idea or motivation behind this initiative?
Quickly, yes. Sometime in the year 2011 is when there were various articles about e-waste. And as you know, my background is I worked with IBM for about 23 years. So during my stint in IBM, one of the discussions I was having with a colleague of mine was with respect to this article which came in 2011, where obviously they were talking about how e-waste is going to be the next big challenge, which is not only going to be hazardous, but also going to be creating more challenges as we go along, and which is a reality today, right? So that sparked off a thought in me that we should try and do something in this space. Luckily, at that time, my wife, who had worked with IBM for close to 10 years, she had taken a break and she was looking at doing something. And I gave her this article and told her just digest the article and see what you can think of in case you want to do something. Because the thought process was very clear. She wanted to do something on her own as an entrepreneur. One fine day when I was in IBM office, she gives me a call and says, in the next 48 hours, you need to find an office space and you need to start this company called Rashi E-Waste Solutions. And she coined the word Rashi E-Waste Solutions. And that's how it kick-started in the year 2011. And for about 6 years plus, she was taking care of the company. While we did not grow much because of various constraints, obviously, when you start with your own funds, but the whole objective was what can we do, and we held on. 2018 January is when I had decided to come out of IBM, and I came into taking charge of the entire operations and management of Rashi E-Waste. And today we are in the third year of handling this complete project from my side, and I'm happy to say we have grown year on year. While there have been challenges because of the pandemic, which obviously is something which all of us across have faced, which I'm not too concerned about. So that's the backdrop, Aishwarya, with respect to how Rashi got started.
So, you were talking about support, and you are funded yourself. So, what kind of government support or public sector support are you receiving right now, since you're working towards a very sustainable cause?
Yeah, so with respect to the support from the government or the public sector enterprises, we have not taken any kind of facilities from anybody except from our bankers, State Bank of India, where we have a CC limit, which is the overdraft facility. Other than that, touch wood, we are positive and we do not have any debts or anything as of today. And it's very important for a e-waste business. As we go along, probably somewhere I'll touch upon it. But as of now, answering your question, we do not have any kind of support. While the local state pollution control board, in terms of the interactions are very, very positive, and we keep discussing various ways we can contribute, because it's a combination of the stakeholders which will help address this. It cannot be done only by the government. It is for recyclers, the public, the enterprises. Everyone have to play a key role in this to look at this positively, and which is what I believe will happen as we go along.
And how is Rashi E-Waste working towards reducing carbon footprint?
So typically what happens is in the e-waste industry, most of the thought process has been how much of metals can we extract. While the reality is that metal extraction is not a very easy process and it is an expensive proposition in terms of the investments which go into it. More importantly, I think we all are aware that only 5 to 6% of the e-waste which gets generated goes through the farm sector. And it's a world over issue. It is not just related to India. So to that extent, I would say that we are working towards the back end of the processes. When I say back end, when metals get shaved off from the PCBs, the PCB leftover PCB is supposed to be powdered and handed over to an authorized landfill, for which we have to pay for it, and it is quite hazardous. And giving it to the landfill is not a solution because land is also a very expensive thing. And once you start putting it into the landfill, next 500 years that land can never be used for anything. So the good part is my partner used to be a commander in the Navy. He has come out with a material out of converting the waste of e-waste into a very strong material. And he has put it for patent also. And as part of that, we have, with our own funds, we have the pot as the first solution. And these are flower pots, 4-inch pots. These flower pots are made out of the waste of e-waste. And we have had very good response when we kick-started this whole process of converting the waste of e-waste into a material and then converting it into flower pots. So the journey what we propose to take going forward because of the pandemic and all that is coming out with more varieties of flower pots, various sizes, because customers have been asking for a bigger size flower pots, and also using this material for probably as your desktops. It can be a desktop kind of a for your office table. It can be the tabletop can be this particular material, or it could be for garden furniture, or it could be for bonsai plants. We can come out with the pots, because bonsai plants today have typically ceramic as the pots, which are very prominently used. We are thinking of why can't we replace that with this, because ceramic is breakable, whereas this is not breakable, and it is environmentally friendly, sustainable, and upcyclable. That's where we are at this point of time, actually.
So that is something very beautiful coming out of e-waste, a flower pot with beautiful flowers. Coming to another point, you was mentioning how e-waste is hazardous to the environment. If you could just tell our viewers your views why e-waste is hazardous to the environment.
I'll pull out some data points also, because that becomes very relevant when we are discussing something on the magnanimity of the hazardous part. India produces about 3.2 to 3.5 million tons a year. And as I mentioned earlier, about 5 to 6% is going through the authorized recyclers, which is a challenge which all of us have to address. Why is it that it goes only 5 to 6% and the balance in the unauthorized segment? Is basically because e-waste contains a lot of metals, precious metals like gold, platinum, silver, and other related, copper and other things. Now, it has, because 2011-12 is when the real focus on e-waste started from a government perspective, and 2016, I would say, was the first guidelines which came out of the Central Pollution Control Board. So when you go back to history, there has been a history of all the unauthorized people trying to pull out the metals using chemical processes, throwing away the balance into the environment. And this is very prominently there near Delhi, one of the prominent places in Delhi, near Delhi, and similarly UP areas and some places in South India. Now, what is happening is the moment you throw away these kind of material, the PCBs, half-baked metals coming out and all, as we all know, these are all hazardous materials. So the moment they go through air, water, and land, obviously it is going to hurt the environment either through any of these three streams. And that is what all of us should be aware and try to address. And my own personal view is, people talk about stubble burning in Delhi as one of the issues. I would say e-waste is one of the real issues which is happening in and around there, apart from some percentage of stubble burning. And once that gets addressed, which the government is trying to address, I think there will be a huge relief as far as Delhi is concerned from the pollution which they are going through every year.
Okay, so there is a need to create awareness about e-waste management. How is your organization working towards creating and spreading this awareness?
So, Aishwarya, in terms of awareness, we have tried to work with the local pollution control board and come out with some kind of messages in All India Radio, and the local colleges are another example where we have tied up with a couple of colleges where we have gone and given them talks. And the good part is, and my strong belief is, anything which needs strong awareness and responsibility which has to come should start from the schools and colleges. And we are trying to address it at these college level. We are having a program to also run it through the schools because they will play a very big role in changing the behavior pattern. Because we, as senior, I would say the younger generation is already under the impression that we are handing over a very, very unsustainable kind of a planet to them. So I think it is time that we all work towards both the younger generation, the kids and the college going students, and bring out awareness with respect to the hazardous activities which happen because of the using of the electronic gadgets, and what role can they play in ensuring that it gets segregated at the household level and then it goes into the local municipalities through this process, and hopefully we can see better management of e-waste in the coming days, and that's the endeavor we are working towards.
Okay, so since you're collaborating with colleges and schools, what advice will you give to aspiring entrepreneurs who want to start a business in e-waste management?
Well, this is a question which keeps coming up regularly, Aishwarya, and I think it's a very important question. And the good news is the younger generation do not carry any baggages. They are ready to get into any kind of entrepreneurship today, which is a very big change which has happened from what it was probably 10 years ago or so. The only advice I would give based on the experiences we have gone through is that we should make sure that we do our homework, point number one. We should study about this complete industry before we embark into it. While on the face of it, it looks very lucrative, it has its own challenges, but wherever challenges are there, that's what I call them as opportunities. And once we have done our homework and we have, ensured that we have addressed some of these issues and we are ready to slog it out for the next 3 years, I would say it is not a bad area to be in, because India is going to become a very, very key contributor in terms of the e-waste. Not only that, but I think the Make in India or Made in India concept, you will see many of these electronic manufacturing will really pick up in the next couple of years. So I think we are in the right time. It's just that we need to make sure that once the homework is done, they put a proper plan in place, and we should bring in a lot of professionalism, because this is not a recognized as an industry yet at this point of time, e-waste. So we hopefully should see that happening in the coming years with the government's also trying to play a big role in this. And I'm fairly hopeful and optimistic that this will happen in the coming years.
Okay, so finally coming to MyStartup TV, we are a channel for startups, enablers, and budding entrepreneurs. What are your views on our channel?
I think it's a very big initiative you folks have taken in terms of working with the startups, because that is becoming the order of the day. So many startups are coming up, if you see, either in north of India or in south of India, and across India, I would say. And tier 2, tier 3 cities are going to be the next big increase with respect to the startup activities happening in various fields. And truly, this medium is going to help the not only the entrepreneurs but also bring in a lot of professionalism and awareness, which is what I think you have embarked upon, and it is going to be. I would say that it's a great initiative all of you have taken, and it's. I'm sure this will be a very successful kind of a venture which you have started, which will not only benefit the entrepreneurs, the community at large. And going through your channel, even awareness programs, I'm sure you will be lining up. I think that is what is required for the order of the day when we talk about e-waste and the hazardous challenges we are all facing. And I think you have Startup TV has come up at the right time, and we are sure that with this collaboration, we will be able to see a much greener and sustainable India in the coming years. And my best wishes to you and the entire team.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gurudutt, for joining us today. And we hope to see you in our future panel discussions when it is regarding e-waste.
Absolutely. Pleasure is mine. And thank you once again.